It's no secret when you return to a game 20 years later, it's not quite how you remember it, for better or worse. The graphics might not feel as crisp, the controls a little clunkier, a little wonkier, and your mom probably isn't yelling at you from down the hall to go back to bed. Well, maybe for some of you that still applies, no judgment. But when I came back to Classic WoW Anniversary this year, I had my own set of expectations. Memories from Vanilla WoW, strong social communities, late night pizza and root beer with the homies, and that moment when you finally get the gear you've been farming for weeks, only to lose the role to a guildie who joined that same morning. Some of these things are still true, unfortunately, but a lot has changed. The good is still there, some of the bad is still there, and the rest is somewhere in between. Thinking about those changes, the things I fought against early on but eventually gave into, is sort of what inspired this video. If you're coming back or even thinking about dipping into Classic WoW Anniversary, these are some of the things that I had to get used to coming back to the game. Add-ons are basically non-negotiable at this point. When I first started back, I thought, man, I'm going to experience Classic in the Classic way. No. Not if you want to be efficient in any sense of the word. I spent about a third of my time alt-tabbing to Wowhead and other similar sites, guides for professions, quests, talents, gear. Add-ons just save you from Googling everything later. I fought against it for a very long time and eventually succumbed, and now I have a ton. Questy is basically mandatory for questing. It's a huge help. DBM and Gargle, I would say, are required by most raiding guilds for raid warnings and loot management. There are role-specific add-ons such as Voodoo for healers, Pally Power for paladins. Seriously, if you're raiding Pally, you definitely should have it. If you don't have it, please go download it. It helps everybody involved. Some guilds won't even invite you without certain add-ons installed. And the second you add one, it's over. You're going to realize how much better your life is inside the game. You can skip add-ons for a more authentic experience, but if you care about endgame content or high-end PvP, add-ons are just going to raise your floor as a player, and it's just going to make Classic much easier to digest over time. Let's talk about world buffs. Learn them, love them, hate them. You're going to be collecting them every week, and that is just standard at this point. You've got Oni, Neff, ZG, Songflower Serenade, the Dark Moon Fair, Dire Maul buffs, Rend if you're really sweating it out and going all in. And every week you're going to be buying Chrono Boon Displacers from Chromie, flying all over Azeroth to pick them up, and silently raging when you unboon and lose them all in the first boss because someone screwed up. I'm not going to explain how to get all of these, but just know that world buffs are going to become part of your weekly game. Luckily, we've had some quality of life updates, and now you can hold on to them right when you get them. I treat world buffs like dailies. It's just something you got to knock out. It doesn't take a crazy amount of time, but it does take time, and maybe that can be the nuisance. Let's talk about class meta versus class preference. My first tune coming back to the game was a paladin. I've never played one before, so I wanted to experience the game as something new. I leveled as Ret, I hit 60 as Ret, and thought I'm going to raid as a Retribution paladin. Now I'm a holy paladin. That's just the way it goes. Turns out Ret isn't exactly in high demand for raiding, at all. Unless you got in early, maybe you know the raid leader, or you have the Hand of Ragnaros, you're probably going to be healing in raids. What I had to get used to is classes and specs are policed a lot more than I remember. Shadow Priests, Ret Paladins, non-Resto Druids, for example, are a lot rarer in 40-mans than, let's say, Warriors, Rogues, or Hunters. It's not impossible to play what you want, and I always recommend playing exactly the way you want to play it, but some classes do get a fast pass to invites and spots in raids, while others are waiting in line a bit longer. That said, play what you love. Good players in any class and any spec do find raid spots. You just might need to dig a little longer for a come-as-you-are type of guild, which there are plenty, and the guild that I'm in is just like that. We still clear endgame content, we just don't do it in record time, and that's fine with me. I'd say the next step for me, the volatility and intelligence of the marketplace. By now the numbers have been crunched, we know the content roadmap, add-ons track prices, and players have 20 plus years of gold making knowledge at this point. That means that people can and will corner markets. Example, before AQ dropped, greater nature protection pots and all other mats skyrocketed in price. There were tons of guilds who just bought up everything to prep and then bought up all the mats and stuff to corner the market. If you're new or you're coming back, it can feel like the economy is stacked against you. If you're not farming smart or working the auction house or leveling gold making professions, Classic WoW can be expensive. And it's expensive because most other players and larger guilds and basically people flush with gold are going to do these things. You might want to look at alchemy or enchanting for profit. You could level a mage and sell farming services or boosting services. You could level a tank and just become a dungeon mercenary for cash. People have alts strictly for making gold. I know that's not a new concept, but if you're new to the game, it can be a little bit daunting, especially with how long it takes to level to 60. There's no one right way, but you're going to need a plan to attack how you make money and how you make gold in the game. Next I'd say there's a higher bar for game knowledge and higher expectations that players have of each other. Whether that's fair or not, that's been my experience. Players know everything now, and there's no shortage of guides or sites or other content creators to give you knowledge on all of the subjects and everything within the game. And most people expect you to kind of know and kind of, expect you to have done the research before you ask repetitive questions. If you're unsure about something, I'd say Google it first. You can ask in general chat. I'm not saying people won't help you, but that might invite a lot more sarcasm than what you were expecting. Just give it a Google. You're going to find the resource. There's not too much left in this game to be discovered, at least in its current state. I'd also say that the classic player base is a bit older now, so we can assume that the average player has less time to play. If you've only got a couple hours to raid a week, it can be frustrating if the same players or the same, guild members are asking over and over for someone to explain the fight or what to do exactly. Do yourself a favor, do the research, ask clarifying questions if you need to. Obviously, every guild is different, but just know in the average dungeon experience or the average pickup group, it's going to move fast, and the expectations are higher from player to player. I'd say different guilds have different vibes, but overall, I had to adjust to the fact that expectations for raid prep are way higher than they used to be. I'm not even upset by that. It makes sense. The game has evolved and adapted. The players have as well. Do your research. There's an unlimited amount of resources out there. Come in at least with a basic knowledge before asking 20 questions. Now, ultimately, don't let any of this intimidate you. It's not meant to be negative. It just is what it is. None of it's that hard. None of the changes are that big, in my opinion. It's just different. The game's evolved. The players have evolved. The nostalgia's still hitting. The social aspect of it is still great. I've had tons of awesome moments. I'm in a really solid guild right now. I've had some bad experiences, but that's the nature of the game. That's just part of it. Classic Anniversary has me hooked again, and yeah, I've had to adapt, but that's part of the fun. Thank you guys so much for your time and hanging out with me on this video. If you enjoyed your stay, you know what to do. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a sub. That's the easiest and the freest way to support the channel. This has been PvP, and I'll catch you on the next one. Also, don't forget to check out the Midnight Release podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Peace.